And what's up, everybody? We're back with another episode of the Talkin' NASCAR podcast, where we talk about NASCAR. It's pretty cool, isn't it?
I mean, that's what the name is.
We're back, episode number 80, everybody. Pretty awesome milestone there. Back with Hitmaster, as always. Still working the beard back into action. It's getting there. Almost surpassed mine, but mine's probably gonna get trimmed down. I don't like it too long. It gets itchy. It gets scratchy. I don't like it. Anyway,
Mine's been itchy.
We got a lot to talk about on this week's episode of the Talkin' NASCAR podcast. Memorial Day weekend passed. Salute to all the veterans out there celebrating Memorial Day. But it was a big weekend for not just NASCAR, but the racing world entirely, with the Monaco Grand Prix for F1 and the Indy 500. Not going to go too deep into either of those races. We'll talk about the Indy 500 a little bit. Not really going to touch on Monaco at all. But we will go over everything that happened at Charlotte as well for all three series. There's a lot to talk about in that regard. We got a lot of news to talk about. We forgot to talk about the penalties post North Wilkesboro. So we're going to go over those this week, even though it's a little old now. And the penalties post Charlotte have come out as well. So we're going to go over both of those. As well as some other silly season stuff, including some huge news. So, should be a good one. Let's jump right into it. But first, before we do any of that, I got a new drink to try. There's 2 new flavors of Pepsi out. We're going to try one this week and one next week. So, I got the first one pulled up here right now. It is Peach Pepsi.
Oh, I've tried that one.
This is one of the two. It's not the first time they've done a fruit one with the mango and also cherry Pepsi. Which, I mean, it's cherry. It's not going to really be that hard to mess up. But peach Pepsi, this should be pretty interesting. I didn't even know this existed until Eli told me. Because I got the other one they had to do buy 2, get 3 free 12-pack. And I saw the other one. I was like, oh, okay, I'll get that one. I didn't even know that there was another flavor because they didn't have 12 packs of it, but they had it in bottles. So we're gonna crack it open now.
It works. There is the.
Smells pretty good. Doesn't really smell like peach at all. Mostly just smells like Pepsi. But here we go.
Well, yeah. And. Got going for a second.
This is peach Pepsi, right? Not just regular Pepsi. I wasn't sabotaged. It just tastes like regular Pepsi.
Maybe what they did is they took a peach Pepsi thing and they put it around a regular Pepsi. So that
I was duped. I was scammed. God damn it. And it tastes fine. It's just regular Pepsi, so it's not like a huge deal. But
maybe you should have done the other one first.
We'll try that one next week. Because it's in the garage and I didn't want to get it out. So. Anyway, that's pretty good. You'll see me drinking that over the course of the rest of the episode. But let's jump into NASCAR stuff. First off, Charlotte. The truck series. Nothing really happened in the first couple of stages. However, early in the third stage, there was a huge crash that took out some pretty big drivers. It reminded me of the IndyCar crash at Texas a few years ago, where somebody made a really dumb, bold move and wrecked half the field. Only like 4 trucks were involved, but there were some really hard hits. So glad everybody was okay from that. Matt Crafton and Chase Purdy both got taken out because of blown tires. Corey Heim dominated the race. He won both stages. But on the end of the race, he came down pit road and there was a trouble with their jack. And so he was unable to, so he lost the lead, lost some pretty valuable track position, overall. And he came very close to overcoming it, but sadly could not. Let's see here. So that opened the door for a driver that had not really ran well throughout the entire race to win. That was Nick Sanchez getting his second career win in the Truck Series. So good win for Nick Sanchez, with Heim finishing in second. So that was really, really good. Overall, pretty okay truck race in my opinion. The Xfinity Series was just taken over by Cup drivers. There were Cup driver after Cup driver. I think Kyle Busch ran this race. Noah Gragson ran this race. Chase Elliott ran this race. I can't remember who else ran it, but there were more. And some drivers did run the Truck Series race too. I think Ross Chastain maybe ran it. I don't remember. But not nearly.
There was also a guy named Jeffrey Earnhardt that mostly no one cares about, but still, he's an Earnhardt, so we have to care about him.
Yeah, he was there. But as far as the rest of the race, Riley Herbst was having a good run, but he got taken out due to some miscalculations and got taken out in a wreck. Tires were an issue throughout this entire race. Charlotte's surface is really degrading. It has not been that long since Charlotte's last repave. I think it was 2006, 2007. And then, of course, there were configurations made for the Roval, so probably even like 2018, somewhere around there. But man, it's kind of like Atlanta at this point was. Tires were just going degrading all over the place. It really wasn't a big deal in the trucks, but I think with the heat, because they, for some reason, like to run the Xfinity race midday, which is a really weird choice in my opinion, since they run most of their races at night, that with tracks that have lights, and of course Charlotte does have lights. But tires were an issue for a lot of drivers. A lot of drivers blowing tires, having to pit, unscheduled pit stops, all that sort of stuff. This race was kind of a back and forth effort. Kyle Busch dominated the first part of the race. Justin Allgaier was up there too until he got taken out in a late wreck because of a very wild restart. And I have to talk about Fox's choice because it was on Fox. Fox got this race. I cannot believe Fox got a fucking Xfinity race, dude. What the fuck? Anyway, they cut like mid race. They cut to this lady in the stands, and she's a Noah Gragson fan. First off, why are you a Noah Gragson fan out of any driver that you could have possibly chose? You chose to be a Noah Gragson fan. She's in the stands anyways. She's going berserk, okay? I think he was racing for like 5th. And she's just going, yeah, you. She was going insane, dude. So then, on a late restart, Gragson stays out to take the lead, and he almost like flipped over on the restart. He got dumped. He got booted out of the way right away, which set up a chain reaction events that took out Justin Allgaier, and she was pissed. She was frustrated. It was super, super funny. So I like that. Also late in the race, Austin Hill and Cole Custer tangled, with Hill being not happy at all and actually wrecking Custer further after the fact. And this reminded me of Kyle Busch and Ron Hornaday's tangle at Texas back in 2011 in the truck race, where they both got into an incident. The caution came out, but Kyle Busch wasn't happy and ended up wrecking both of them farther. But in this case, it was just Custer. So there you go. But all was not lost on the Xfinity race, baby. Chase Elliott decided, yep, we're going to use old tires at the beginning of the race, just barely hold on to our track position, and then use our new tires at the end when everybody else has already used their tires. And it paid off, baby. Chase Elliott wins the Xfinity race. Let's go. Put him in the Hall of Fame, baby. Anyway, so that was good. Ending to an alright Xfinity race. There was some good stuff.
I may be a Chase Elliott fan, but that doesn't mean after 2 wins, one being in the Cup Series and one being doesn't mean he needs to be in the Hall of Fame.
Let's be honest, he's going to be in the Hall of Fame. Anyway, now to Sunday, the big day, the big race. Indy 500, baby, got delayed because of rain. Yeah.
I don't
So
understand how pissed I was.
you guys remember Kyle Larson was supposed to run the double. Well, he did run the Indy 500. He chose to run the Indy 500 over bailing early to go to the Coke 600 and make that race on time. He decided to just continue running the Indy 500, and he said, well, it's because everybody's here and everybody's got... By everybody, he means sponsors. But, whatever, big choice. The race got delayed for almost 4 hours. So a long, long time. Heavy rains hit Indy. But they got the race going. They finished it despite Indianapolis having a really dumb rule where the race had to end by 8:15 so that fans had enough daylight visibility to exit the track because there weren't enough street lights. Hello? Do cars not have things called headlights? Is that not a thing in Indianapolis?
Indiana, no.
Or are people just that stupid with driving that you need a street lamp every 5 feet in order to...
I mean, you know how there's a big sign that says these words?
Please, there is a thunderstorm nearby. Please, go find shelter immediately. I swear to you, even the announcers on the Indy 500 said some people are being idiots and not going to get shelter and they will hurt themselves. And I told my mom, because she was sitting right next to me, I said, it won't be hurting. It'll be called dead.
Pretty much.
So, just letting people know, if it's raining and the people are saying there is a thunderstorm nearby with lightning involved, please take shelter. Listen to them. Please.
But anyways, they got the Indy 500 going. It was actually a really good race. Lots of exciting passes, a lot of wrecks too. And just overall a lot of chaos because drivers were not very skilled on how to run the race with it being that late in the day and the track conditions. Except for one driver, Kyle Larson, running the double. He ran in the top 10 for a good amount of this. He had a shit start though. I thought he was going to crash in the first 10 laps because he did not get going on the start of the race at all. And then on the restarts, he just got eat up because he could not figure out how to do the restarts. I can excuse the start of the race because they start three wide on each other. And, that's going to be difficult for anybody to do, let alone somebody who's making their first ever IndyCar start, right? But the restarts are single file. Like, it can't be that difficult. Unless he was having acceleration issues, which it didn't seem like he was.
It's hard to explain, but you have to draft the person in front of you to get a run with an Indy car.
Well, I know that.
Because it's one of those things, it's... especially at Indy. Indy is very hard to race at. And you have to let off at some points. You can't gas it like if you were to race it at Talladega with an Indy car or to race at Michigan with an Indy car.
Hold that thought. I just tasted the peach in this drink.
Yeah, it's not just.
All right, I'll rate it a 7. It's good, but not like great. It's pretty much just like regular Pepsi with a little bit of peach taste into it. Anyway, okay, continue.
But the only reason why I know that is because iRacing. That's it. iRacing basically helps me know like how the track feels and how everything's gonna feel. But I mean, Yeah.
But he was still having a good day. He was back in like 15th after all the restart issues. Then he finally started to get that figured out and got back up to 6th. He was making a run at it, was going to possibly get the top 5, maybe even go for the win with a caution. Then he sped on pit road. Lost a lap. Looked like it was over. Then a caution came out. He took the wave around. Got back on the lead lap, but really couldn't make much of a run at it at the end. He ended up finishing in 18th. He did lead laps though. He led 4 laps. So that's pretty good. But that was only because of pit strategy and whatnot. But he did finish 18th. So I mean, it's good. I mean, out of 33 cars in your first ever IndyCar start in the Indy 500, that's pretty good. And he was pretty competitive throughout most of the day. But the win ended up going to Joseph Newgarden, who won now back-to-back Indianapolis 500s with the last lap pass. It was a very, very exciting finish. And overall a good race. I'm not going to go into it too much because it's IndyCar, not NASCAR, but still good stuff.
Don't worry, guys. I'll make an IndyCar podcast, and I will talk about IndyCars. Because since NASCAR is being a little bitch right now, I kind of want to go into IndyCar a little bit.
The Indy 500 spoiler was definitely the best race of the weekend, no doubt.
Oh yeah.
No shit. Monaco,
I mean,
they actually had a crash. I would say Monaco was the second best race because they fucking crashed on the first lap. Oh my god, there were passes.
Yeah.
There were passes in F1. Oh my god. Not everybody just ran single file for 75 laps. There was actually action.
Sadly, the Red Bull crashed. My favorite team. But
and then we get to the Cup race. At the Coke 600. Anyways, because Larson had to miss the start of the Coke 600, Justin Allgaier filled in for Larson. But then what happened at the Coke 600? Well, Ryan Blaney had a loose wheel and instead of pitting, he decided to run an extra lap, and it cost him the race. He ended up wrecking because of it. Noah Gragson was also taken out, going crashing on the backstretch. His day ended early. But nothing else really notable happened in what actually happened at the race. Keyword is what happened. Justin Allgaier, though, let's give him credit. He was up to 13th. He had a pretty bad start, but like Larson in the Indy 500, he was getting up there to the front. I think he was in the top 10 at one point or getting close. He was in 13th, a little past halfway, and then the caution comes out for rain. I swear to fucking God, dude, this rain just will not let up. It was not supposed to rain at all at Charlotte. And then we get rain on lap 256. What the fuck, guys? So there's a lightning strike, so they bring the field down pit road. Literally, as the caution is coming out for rain, Kyle Larson is pulling into the track, ready to jump in the car. So at first, it's like, oh, this is his big break. He's going to get the track position, have time to get in the car, and then restart 13th or whatever.
He'd have to start at the back.
Or whatever.
But he would be the last person on the lead lap.
Right. So he'd have better track position than pitting under green.
Right.
So that's what everybody was thinking about first. But then the skies opened up and it poured. It kept raining and raining and raining and raining. Eventually, the rains did start to clear out, and they were making an effort to dry the track. Even though it was past halfway, so the race was technically official, if they wanted to call it, but they were making an effort to dry the track, getting it dried, getting ready to go. The rains had cleared out, and it was going to be clear enough to try and finish the race. And then it was so I watched the Indy 500 Sunday. I had Ann and Likus over, and we watched Monaco, and then we did some videos, and then we went out to eat, and then we watched Indy, and then we were flipping between. When they got under a rain delay, they were tired, so they left, and I was like, oh, I'll probably stay up by myself. I'm gonna upload some videos and just kind of hang out until this race gets restarted. It's about 11:30, and they called the race. The fuck? You brought the jet dryers out just to call the race anyways?
And see, I looked on Facebook and I've looked on TikTok, and there have been people that have been pissed about this. Really, fans are pissed about this. The curfew for Charlotte Motor Speedway is 1 o'clock.
Okay, here's something I'm confused about.
The track
was clean by 11 o'clock.
Okay. Here's what I'm confused about. Maybe you can help me clarify on this, okay? People were citing, when they called the race, people were like, oh yeah, there's a curfew in the city of Charlotte. Everybody has to be out by midnight. That's why they called the race. Well, on TV, they cited that there was too high of humidity. So even though it wasn't raining, the track wasn't getting dry. It wasn't going to dry until like 1 a.m. So they said, all right, we're going to be, we're just going to be done or whatever. People were citing this curfew. Is that a common thing with like cities where they have like a curfew time? Is that, I've never heard of that before.
With big cities like Charlotte. So I think Detroit, so like, let's just say it was to rain for the Indy race this coming up weekend in Detroit. That is, I believe, the curfew is around 11:15ish. I don't know for sure, but I know for big cities like Charlotte and all of that, they have to be done by either 12 or 1 of those two times. But yes, big cities have curfews, except for like Los Angeles. Los Angeles doesn't have a curfew because, of course, Los Angeles.
Okay.
You got Vegas. You got all these other big cities that are bigger than Detroit, bigger than Chicago. Those don't have bigger curfews.
Okay.
So, I mean, if they really wanted to, and if I think Las Vegas has lights, right? If I'm not mistaken.
They have lights.
Yeah. If they really wanted to, if it was raining a lot, which you rarely fucking see in Las Vegas because they're near a fucking desert. They could go at like 12 o'clock and they could start back up at 12, and maybe they could end at 2. But then again, you got to think of the drivers. They don't want to drive and just be like.
I don't think that would have been the case. I think all the drivers and all the crew members, everybody wanted to finish the race. You don't want to,
especially on Memorial Day,
race like this. Yeah, like a race like this. And there is no driver more pissed off or annoyed than Kyle Larson himself. He never turned a lap in the 600, meaning he didn't actually do the double.
I texted my friend about this, and I said, Kyle Larson is pissed right now. And he goes, me too. Justin Allgaier, though, got a top 15 on his first time out in a next-gen cup car and unlapped himself under green. Just think of that. Justin Allgaier is doing what Kyle Larson would do.
Oh no, Justin Allgaier ran a great race. It's nothing against Justin Allgaier. He did really good. Did really, really well. But
Kyle Larson, like, I'm seeing these things on Twitter about how does Kyle Larson deserve a waiver? Because the rule is drivers can get waivers.
You have to get a waiver because in order to qualify for the playoffs, you have to start all the regular season races. So Larson right now can't be in the playoffs unless he gets a waiver, even though he won a race.
Now, like Tyler said, I think he deserves a playoff or a waiver.
He's gonna get a waiver. He
has 2 fucking wins.
He's a Hendrick driver. He's gonna get a waiver. It's not gonna even be a matter of an issue.
That and You know, you can't say anything bad about him, no matter how many times people hate him.
He has the closest finish of all time, and he won that closest finish. So, you can't say shit now, Twitter.
Well,
But, I mean,
Twitter could pull up a certain video clip from COVID time when they were from a game called iRacing.
We don't talk about that. We don't talk about that. The iRacing community don't want that a part of us.
But no, I mean, Kyle Larson needs a waiver. I mean, they did it with Kyle Busch, and I bet you right now people are going to be upset and all pissed off, but then they're going to get over it because Kyle Larson is a good driver no matter his history. He's a champion, and, you know, I mean, he's worthy of another chance at a championship.
I think he's going to get a waiver, no problem. But I mean, for the sake of doing the double, he didn't do it. He didn't run the 600 at all. So
he's doing it next year.
He's got to do it next year. I mean, he's do it again.
And what's weird is Kyle Busch is doing the doubleheader.
Oh God, no, he's not.
RCR Richard
what
Childress.
The fuck?
Richard Childress
the
has
fuck?
said if he wants to do the doubleheader, Richard Childress would be 100% in. So most
he's
likely,
gonna fucking
Kyle Busch is doing the doubleheader.
He's gonna. Oh my God, he's gonna fucking kill somebody. You imagine if the incident with Ricky Stenhouse happened in the Indy 500, he would have died. Holy shit!
Well, I mean, they're more safer now.
Still, they're going 230 miles an hour.
And?
Okay, whatever.
Danica Patrick went 230 miles per hour and yet still alive. Sadly.
We'll go off of that.
I'm kidding.
We'll go off of that.
I just wanted to see him laugh.
Anyway, so the race got called after 256 laps of action. People are pissed. Like we said, Kyle Larson's pissed. The fans are pissed. Because reports came out shortly after the race was called. It's called about 11:30 Eastern Time. Reports were coming in that the track was dried, ready to go, just a half hour after they called the race. Literally just a half hour after they called it. What the fuck, NASCAR? And they were citing time slots. It was too late. The weather didn't look good. I swear to God, I think the main I have two conspiracy theories as to why they called this race. Other than the bullshit curfew or whatever the fuck. Because Daytona ran a fucking race at 2 a.m., okay? So, Charlotte, maybe you could lift your restrictions for just one night.
That's... Daytona is like Charlotte. So, in a way, if you think about it, Charlotte should get it. Daytona is a small place, and Charlotte's a small place.
Anyway, I have another reason for why it might have been called, and it's because Fox wanted it called. They didn't see any profitability with it running, so they said, fuck it. Call the race. We're going to cut our losses. Or, we're not broadcasting it. I think that's what they said. Because Mike Joy seemed a little too enthusiastic about the race being called. And Kevin Harvick, too. Maybe your old fucks were getting too tired, weren't you? I don't know.
I mean, Kevin Harvick's kids had to go to school the next day.
On Memorial Day?
Yes.
I don't know. It's just a dumb decision. Like, you wasted so much...
idiot.
You wasted so much, resources and time for nothing. Anyways, Christopher Bell won because he was in the lead. William Byron ran most of the race up front, but it was Christopher Bell who won. So, I don't hate the winner. I just don't like how it finished. But, it is how it is, I guess. I mean, we can't really do anything about it now, but Bell gets the win, gets a boost for his playoff run, gets a crown jewel victory too. And hopefully next year we can finally have our Coke 600 with no rain problems again.
Let me say, I don't know if you were going to say this about the penalties, about the Xfinity Series. There's, I think, one penalty, Xfinity Series penalty.
Yeah, we'll go over the penalties in a minute.
Right. No, wait.
The races overall were fine. Just a very sour ending. So
yeah.
Put the weekend in the books. All right, let's go over penalties. Let's first talk about North Wilkesboro's penalties. Because we forgot to talk about them last week. As far as the Ricky Stenhouse Kyle Busch fight, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was fined $75,000 for the fight. One crew member got suspended for 4 races, another got suspended for 8 races, and Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s dad, Ricky Stenhouse Sr., is suspended indefinitely. So, those were what came out from that. Also, from the truck race at North Wilkesboro, the 7 team, one of the crew members on the 7 truck team was suspended for an article violation. So, and also Grant Enfinger's crew chief was fined $2,500 for a loose lug nut, and a crew member on the number 5 team was suspended for indefinitely for substance abuse. This came out of North Wilkesboro. All right. And then as far as the as far as the Charlotte penalties, Corey Heim got disqualified after having 3 loose lug nuts post Charlotte. So that degraded his second place finish down to a much worse finish. So there we go. Austin Hill was fined $25,000 and docked 25 points for wrecking Cole Custer after the caution had already come out. And also crew chiefs for the 5 and 38 truck teams were each fined $2,500 for having a loose lug nut after Charlotte. So that's all the penalties that I could find from the weekend. Don't know if you had any others.
I think you got over the Austin Hill one.
Yeah.
So yeah, oh good.
So that was all from that. Let's see. We got a few other things to talk about. It's pretty big stuff. First off, we forgot to talk about this in last week's episode. I wasn't reminded about it until after we had recorded it. And Pomeroy made an article. They have a Substack. I forgot you guys didn't know that, but they wrote Pomeroy wrote an article about it, talking about a hypothetical schedule for the 2026 season. So if you guys want to read it, go check it out on in Substack. You can probably find it on the Discord as well. Give it a read. It's a good read. I read it. It's really good. So a lot of good points made in there. Really well written. So definitely worth going checking out, I would say. And then also silly season news. Only a couple of things, but they're pretty big. First one, Clint Boyer is going to be running the 7 truck for Spire at Nashville. Yep, he's going to be back in NASCAR. For the truck series at Nashville. So that'll be pretty good. And then the biggest news. True. Very true. Possibly true. Anyway, the biggest news from the weekend, or from the week. The news that everybody has feared, but has come true. Stewart Haas Racing is shutting down at the end of this season. There's been rumors going around for a while about them selling off charters, 2 charters, then turned to possibly shutting down completely, and now it has been confirmed. It'll be at the end of the season. So what does that mean? well, there's a lot of things that this is going to mean. We went through this with we went through this with Chip Ganassi Racing a few years ago, but now we're going through this with Stewart Haas. So what's going on with their charters? Well, I guess the first thing we can talk about. It has already been confirmed at the time of recording this that Front Row Motorsports has bought one of the charters. So they were a likely candidate. Two other likely candidates for charter purchases are 2311 Racing and Trackhouse, but that has not been confirmed. Whether what happens going to happen to the fourth charter, nobody really knows at this point. Also, disclaimer: I think this applies to both their Xfinity and Cup programs. It might only apply to Cup. I think it only applies to Cup, actually, because their Xfinity program is just Haas. It does not affect their F1 program at all. But also, what's going to mean for the charters? What about the drivers? After the season now, Josh Berry is going to be without a ride after just getting the 4-car full time. Ryan Preece is going to be without a ride. Chase Briscoe, and of course Noah Gragson after he also just got a ride back full time. So it's going to be pretty interesting.
I always think to my head with Noah Gragson and Josh Berry, they're walking in the door. Hey, nice to meet you. Oh, I can't wait for our contract to be good. Oh, nice, cool. And then now this past weekend, hey, remember that contract that we talked about? We might need to change some stuff. I'm selling you to a different building. I'm sorry, but this place is going down to the shithole.
Yeah. Really. And it's a sad fall from grace. Tony Stewart said that it was just time to pass the torch, as he said. Really what he means is that our team has gone to shit. It's too expensive, and that it's better to just call it quits now. I think it really got pointed out earlier this season when, with no Kevin Harvick, their only really solid driver left, the team tanked. Josh Berry was terrible to start the season. Ryan Preece and Chase Briscoe have been incredibly forgettable. Noah Gregson's been doing pretty good these last few weeks, but he hasn't reached victory lane, and it's not been good enough to really catapult anything crazy to keep them around. So, it's time to shut it down. But it is a fall from grace. Stewart Haas Racing was founded in 2009, or that was their first season, was 2009. They've had a lot of great drivers go through their.
They were founded in 2000.
A lot of great drivers have gone through the program. Tony Stewart, one of the founders, won a championship. Ryan Newman went through the program. Kevin Harvick, Kurt Busch have gone through that as well. Harvick also won a championship. Busch won the Daytona 500 for him. So that was really good. Of course, certain Danica Patrick, not so great.
By the way, if you guys haven't seen my NASCAR 15 live stream, go see it, the previous one, because
Danica Patrick screws me.
All right.
Okay. Trying to think of who else is. Trying to think of who else has really gone through the organization since their founding. Anybody else notable, at least? I guess Daniel Suarez ran a year with them, but that wasn't very notable at all. So they won a lot of races, though. They were pretty competitive for most years. But I think really the fall from grace really began after Kurt Busch left the program, I would say. That's when they really started to fall. Kevin Harvick was the only driver really doing anything. And every other team was just becoming pretty forgettable at the end of the day. They weren't really that competitive. Harvick's last real great season was 2020, and he choked it in the playoffs. He did win a couple races in 2022 to cap it off, but otherwise, not really anything else super crazy. So then Harvick retired, and Josh Berry was not as good. I mean, he was making some improvements, but now we have to figure out, like, where's this team going to go? Like, where are the drivers going to go? What's going to happen to the other charters? Who's going to fill the charters? And just kind of a send off. Because like with Ganassi, it was also difficult. They had been around in NASCAR for a long time, about 20 years, and then they were gone. But we've gotten over it, and we'll probably get over this one too in time. Okay, it seems as Garry has left the podcast. Awesome. Okay. Well, we're gonna continue. And hopefully he rejoins. Anyway, this is gonna be very, very it's not super shocking seeing the recent news and events and whatnot, but it is still going to be sad for everybody. And guess what it's gonna be. So they're gonna run out the rest of the season, and we'll figure. The Chargers are gonna be bought soon enough. I'm sure 2311 is gonna buy one. Trackhouse is gonna buy one. Not surprised. As far as maybe 2311 or Trackhouse will buy two of them. Who knows? I can't really see 2311 buying another Charger. I can see Trackhouse doing two, but that might be too quick. So you have to give it to a different team. But I don't know who would get it. That's the thing. We're gonna see how that goes though, and really what's going to happen. So should be interesting, no doubt there. So, but that's really all the news that I had from this week. So nothing really else super notable to talk about. But we can get into our previews for the weekend. The Truck Series and the Cup Series are in Gateway this weekend, or is known as Worldwide Technology Raceway. I just call it Gateway. And then the Xfinity Series is out in Portland at the road course. So should be very, very interesting there. Get down to our predictions here in a minute. Just kind of stalling to see if Garry will come back. Anyway, Gateway should be a good track. It's put on a pretty decent show with the next gen car. Nothing spectacular, but it's not been terrible by any means. Portland should put on a pretty good race too. It's a road course. Those are kind of hit or miss, but should put in some good strategy, and it'll probably rain. It usually does at Portland during that race, so that should be fun to watch. But otherwise, should be good. So, but anyway, I'm gonna get down to my predictions. If Garry joins, we can do his predictions as well. But anyway, for the trucks, I don't know. I mean, picking Corey Heim is a kind of a risky decision because you don't know what the effects of the disqualifications at Charlotte are going to do. But he is a solid choice to be picked. I can see Kyle Busch running this race. I don't know if he is, but I can see him running it because Cup's also there. I am going to pick Heim, though. I am going to pick Corey Heim to win. Simply because Garry's back.
I'm so sorry. All right.
We're getting down to our predictions. You're just in time.
Cool.
I picked Corey Heim to win the truck race at Gateway.
Let me see the entry results. You know what? I'll choose Matt Crafton. Screw it.
Interesting. Interesting. And then Xfinity Series in Portland. I'm going to pick Shane Van Gisbergen. Because that's what I do. It's a road course. He should win.
Justin Allgaier.
Okay. And then the Cup race at Gateway again. We got our chips.
For you, I'm not counting our Charlotte picks because Tyler never got the good chance. So,
God damn it, I did have Larson, didn't I? Fuck. You know what? That's why the race got canceled. My fault. What the fuck?
even worse.
All right. Not a terrible pick, I guess.
And now I need to get the 21 out of this pack because I don't want to get it again. And then I put the 5 in. Ow.
Yow.
For me, it is going to be
Oh boy. Oh boy.
I won't be having you for very long. We were just talking about how we might not see these poker chips or the Stewart Haas poking chip.
Yeah, well,
poking
we're
chips.
gonna see
Poker
the hair.
chips.
We're gonna see the 21 poker chip. That one's not leaving.
This. That
You need to
and
get
the Kevin
well.
Harvick one.
You need to get more at MIS.
That's if they have them.
They should have them.
They won't have a Stewart Haas one.
Well, good. Don't pick it then. Get a Chase Elliott one so we can draw Chase Elliott.
Maybe I get a sticker. That's this circle and just Chase Elliott.
You do that.
And then just put Napa on the back.
You do that.
Get
you
white out. Just get white out and just go around it and just Napa.
You do that. All right, well, that's going to do it, though, for this week's episode of the Talkin' NASCAR podcast. Next week, we will recap Gateway and Portland, as well as go over any other news. We'll try the sister drink to this one, and we will do other stuff, too. So it should be a lot of fun. If you want to be a guest on the next episode or any other episode of the Talkin' NASCAR podcast, all you got to do is join the Pringleson & Company Discord. Link is in the description down below. Request the Talkin' NASCAR role. Me or Hitmaster will work out a time, get you on, talk some NASCAR. It should be a lot of fun. But until next time, stay tuned for much more amazing content from both me and Hitmaster. Check us both out. Until next time, we'll see you guys later.